Okay, we're going to start talking about 6.2 in pre-calculus. It involves the law of cosines. I wrote the three of them out here for you. Once you learn one of them, the rest of them follow kind of naturally. You'll notice that A, and then the other two, and then the angle is A. B, the other two, and the angle is B. So there is a pattern. It's just a matter of learning how to remember it best for you. We're going to look at example 2, and it happens to be a side, side, side. When I say side, 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 that means they're only giving me the sides, but they are giving me all three of the sides. This says 6, 9, and 4. A is 6, B is 9, C is 4. We want to round the angle measures to the nearest degree. So just like in the previous section, we need to find all 6 parts of this triangle. The problem is I don't have both A's, I don't have both B's, and I don't have both C's. So that tells me that I need the law of cosines. I could use any of them, so if you don't mind, on this particular one, I'll probably start with the first one. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. Well, we're going to fill these in. And I think I should be able to find the cosine of angle A. So what do I put in place of the A? A6. What do I put in place of the B's? 9. You'll notice there's 2 places for the B's. How about the C's? 4. And there's 2 places for the C's, I think. So what happens now? I end up with 36. 36 equals 81 plus 16 minus 8 times 9, 72. And then I take 36. What is 81 plus 16? 97 minus 72 cosine of angle A. I can tell you right now I'm going to do something. Can anybody tell me 97 minus 72? 25. The problem is that's wrong. You don't know your order of operations, and that's going to be the most common mistake. 97 and 72 are not very similar or close together. Many times these two numbers are very similar, and your temptation is to just subtract them. You can't just subtract them because they're multiplied. The 72 is multiplied. You have to do the order of operations to multiply before you divide. So I think we're fine to here, but I need to do what? Subtract the 97. So if I subtract the 97, on the right I'd have negative 72 cosine of angle A, negative 72 cosine of angle A. On the left, what would I have? What is it? 51? 61? Negative 61. And then I would divide by negative 72 to isolate the variable. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And how do I get rid of the cosine? Take the arc cosine, and hopefully that'll give me A and what it approximately is. So let's punch this in. Arc cosine 61 divided by 72. As long as I'm in degree mode, my answer will be in degrees. 32.089. 32.089 to the nearest degree. We're going to call that 32 degrees. So I'm calling part A 32 degrees. Now I might need to do this one more time to get another answer, but now do I know both A's? So now you can do law of sines, right? The most you should ever have to use law of cosines is once in a triangle. If you want to use it more, you can. I'm going to erase this and make some room and do law of sines. Okay, at this point I think I know both A's. I know the angle A and the side A. So that might allow me to use the law of sines. Usually you'll only have to use law of cosines once and then shift to law of sines. I don't care. I think we can use B over sine B. I believe that would work. So we're going to fill these values in and see what we get. Side A, 6. Angle A, 32 degrees. Side B is 9, but I don't know angle B. Cross multiply to solve. 6 times the sine of angle B equals 9 times the sine of 32 degrees. The sine of B is going to equal to 9 sine 32 degrees divided by 6, which hopefully is between -1 and 1. 9 times sine 32. Take that number and divide it by 6. You get 0.79487. 0.79487. And if you want to get rid of the sine, you take the arc sine. So it's going to be the arc sine of 0.79487 divided, let's see, I already have that divided by 6. So yeah, that should give me the angle right here. So I want the arc sine of that value, and I get 52.64. 52.64. To the nearest degree, I would call that what? 53, I believe. Now, do I have to do another law of sines? Now I can add them and subtract from 180, right? Those, I believe, add to 85. If you subtract from 180, leaves you what? 95 degrees. Last check. Is the biggest opposite the biggest side opposite the biggest angle? No. So I don't think I have it right. So because the largest side is not opposite the largest angle, I know that there's a problem. Usually it can be rectified relatively easy by simply going back a little bit. We had angle A to be 32, right? And the others were given. And I used A and sine A and B sine B. How about if I use the other one? If I went A sine A, but now C over sine C. Let's see if this gives an appropriate answer. So what is side A? 6. What is angle A? 32. What is side C? 4, and we don't know angle C, right? So 6 times the sine of C is equal to 4 times the sine of 32. So C is going to equal the arc sine of 4 sine 32 over 6. And what is that? So if I do arc sine of 4 times sine 30, oops, I don't have that, 4 times sine of 32, and then I want that thing, oh no, I want that divided by 6. Let's see what that gives me. 20.7 something. So I did enter it right, and I get C to be about 20.68 degrees. So that would make C more like 21 degrees, right, if I rounded that to the degree. Now if I did 32 and 21, those add to what? 55, I believe? No. 53? If you subtract 53 from 180, you get, is it 27? 27. These don't add to 180. Hang on a moment.
Wait, isn't it 127?
127. Now, is the biggest side opposite the biggest angle?
Yes.
And is the smallest side opposite the smallest angle?
Yes.
Now I think you're getting a feel for why I'm having you do that check. Because there's times you might have to abandon your approach and try a slightly different approach. We're going to do 6, 2, 1 to 21 odds. So again, it's 6, 2, 1 to 21 odds. Let's look at a couple of them. Okay, this gives me a side, an angle, and a side. And angle A is between side B and C. You also should notice that you're not given both A's, both B's, or both C's. That should tell you to use law of cosines. Now I have choices. There's 3 of them. I don't know if you want to use the one that has angle A. That might be a good way to do it. Which one has angle A? The one that starts with side A. So A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. So this will allow me to find side A. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in all the values and then we'll compute it. So side B, 4. And side B, 4. Side C, 8. Side C, 8. Angle A, 46 degrees. So that gives me A squared equals 16 plus 64 minus 8 times 8 is 64, cosine of 46 degrees. If you add these, you really need to multiply first, but if I add these, I can keep them separate. I believe that adds to 80, isn't it? But I do need to multiply before I can combine anything, so we're going to punch all this in on our calculator. So I have 80 minus 64 cosine 46, and I'm in degree mode. Tells me that A squared is about 35.54. To get rid of the square, I'm going to have to take the square root of that previous answer and get 5.961. 5.961. If I round that to the nearest tenth, do I use 5.9 or 6.0? Because sides are to the tenth, I would think 6.0. So now that I know both A's, now I could probably use law of sines. A over sine A, and I'm going to try one of them. If it works, I'll use it. If not, I'll use the other one. Do you want to try B or C? So B over sine B. We'll fill in our numbers. What is side A? Is it 6? Angle A we now know is 46 degrees. Side B is 4. And what is angle B? I don't know, right? So I get 6 times the sine of B equals 4 times the sine of 46. So the sine of B is 4 times the sine of 46 degrees divided by 6. So let's punch that in first. 4 times the sine 46. Take that number, divide by 6, and should be between -1 and 1. And I get 0.47955. I'm sorry, I don't have that written very well. 0.479559. And then you want to take the arc sine of that to get angle B. So I want to do the arc sine of that number, 0.47. I get 28.65. How would that round to the nearest degree? I'd call it 29 degrees. So this is 29 degrees. 46 plus 29 is what? 15, is that 75? So you have 180 minus 75. That should leave the other angle to be 105. 105. Is the biggest side opposite the biggest angle? Is the smallest side opposite the smallest angle? So we have number 1. Okay, we completed number 1. That's a side angle side type question. I'd like to look at one that is now a side, 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 like number 7, where they only give you the 3 sides. Would you agree that side A is the biggest side?
Yes.
So what do you think about angle A? It should be the biggest angle, right? So let's see if we can do this. I have no choice. I have to use law of cosines because I don't know both A's, both B's, or both C's. I think I could use any of them. I'll probably, if you don't mind, use A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. So I'm going to have A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. Now let's fill in. What is side A? 6. What is side B? 4. That goes in 2 spots. What is side C? 3. So at this point, I have 36 equals 16 plus 9 minus 24 cosine of angle A. The most common mistake I see is what I'm about to do. I see so many people doing this. And I think the reason is you get these numbers that are so close together that you're tempted to subtract them. Okay, they're so close together that people are tempted to subtract them. And that is by far the most common mistake made on these. The problem is you're ignoring the order of operations. You cannot do it that way. You can add those, that's not a problem. But you can't combine it because this one has a multiplication. So you need to subtract the 25 over. I think that makes 11 equals negative 24 cosine of A. Divide by the negative 24 to get cosine of A. And so I got negative 11 divided by 24. So I take negative 11 divided by 24 and I get negative 0.4583 repeating. So the A is going to equal the arc cosine of that, 0.4583 repeating. So I'm just going to simply do the arc cosine of the previous number on my calculator and get 117.27. So angle A is 117.27 degrees. To the nearest degree, I'd probably call it 117. Now, does that have to be the biggest angle in the triangle?
Yes.
I don't think you can have a bigger one and still have it add to 180, but at this point, I could do law of sines. So again, I'll do A over sine A, and I'll try B over sine B to see if it works. I'll fill the numbers in. Side A, 6. Angle A, 117. Or if you want to be more accurate, 117.27. Side B is 4, but I don't know angle B, right? So to solve it, I cross multiply. 6 times the sine of angle B equals 4 times the sine of 117 degrees. So the sine of B is going to equal 4 sine 117 degrees, and that's going to be divided by 6, right? And that's going to give me some decimal. 4 sine 117, I'm in degree mode. Divide that by 6. Gives me 0.594. 0.594. So I would need to get the arc sine of that. To get rid of the sine, I'm going to do the arc sine of that number, 0.594, and get 36.4. What is that to the nearest degree? 36 degrees. If you add 117 and 36, what do they add to give me? 153, I think. And if I subtract 153 from 180, I think it's 27. Now is the smallest side opposite smallest angle, largest side opposite largest angle. So we have number 7 done correctly.